Welcome back to the Centered on Buffalo podcast. Our next guest is a good friend of mine. He was the former Patriots quarterback. We spent some time together in Buffalo together. He played for the Chiefs. He bounced around a little bit besides Patriots and Bills, but I'm looking forward to digging in with him this week on this matchup, what he sees from Drake Maye and this Patriots team, his impressions of Josh Allen and this Bills team, and then we'll have some fun on this one as well, talking about some general NFL and college stuff. He works for NBC Sports, covering college football, and then also is the co-host with Bobby Bones of the Lots to Say podcast. Enjoy this one. Thank you to everyone who subscribes to the podcast. If you haven't already, give it a subscribe, give it a like, a follow, do all the things. Appreciate you guys, and go Bills.
Hit us up on all social media at The Buffalo Pod.
Cass, man, welcome on the podcast, brother.
My guy, you would, dude. Look at you at the perfect studio. I'm literally searching for all the different stuff in my house that my kids have taken, like my camera, the video stuff. I can't find any of it. So you're just getting raw me with a microphone in the hand like an MC, baby.
You're in microphone in hand now for college stuff. You in studio on the podcast. You guys are super professional setup and all that, but your microphone in hand now. You're full on media nowadays, and we'll touch on that in a little bit. But let's dig on this Bills Patriots matchup a little bit first, and then we'll go to some general college football, NFL stuff. But you played with Vrabel, actually with two different teams. You know him very well. You guys have done derbies together, trips with Tom Brady, and the whole works. Are you surprised he was able to turn around the Patriots so fast, though?
I mean, it's somewhat surprising. And the only reason I say that, this team won 4 games last year, and there was a
Right.
lot of uncertainty going in to this season. You know, how much would Drake Maye progress? It's a new offensive system with Josh McDaniels. And we know that Josh McDaniels has a history of being an incredible offensive coordinator and getting the most out of his quarterbacks. But how would that gel? How would he develop throughout the season? And then there's a lot of young faces out there. But the fact that Vrabel came in and set a standard, set a level of expectation. He did it here with the Tennessee Titans. You see that he understands what it takes to be successful in this league. He played in this league. Guys respond to him. And I do think that there's part of it that a team usually takes on the personality of its coach. And when you think
Right.
about Mike Vrabel, and you know Vrabel from the Derby and everything else, he's tough, he's gritty, but he loves ball. And so I think this team has really just bought in to that mentality, and that's what really the results are. A main reason of why they're being so successful is because of Vrabel.
Yeah, when he got the job, I texted him congratulations. I said, I just wish it wasn't New England. And I meant, obviously a compliment to him. Saw what he did with the Titans. He's been a buddy for a while. Through the derbies, I guess that's when we first kind of became buddies. And then we'd catch up here and there from time to time. But a dude who I've had a lot of fun with. He was actually one of my first ever podcast guests, just randomly. And
Was
this,
it really?
you'll appreciate this about Vrabel, though. And I think it was a test. So I said, hey, you're on Central Time. I generally like to record these pretty early, but I'll be respectful of your schedule and time. He said, let's do it at 6 a.m. I said, so 5 a.m. Central Time. He said, yep. I think he was
That's
trying to test me. So then I get on 15 minutes early. He shows up 5 minutes early, just expecting me to roll on right at 6 o'clock my time. And I told him 15 to 20 minutes. And we spent an hour together, just mainly just busting each other's balls back and forth. But
that
Vrabel's
sounds about right, like Vrabel, especially if you know him from a personal standpoint. You know he holds no punches,
right.
and you can get into an argument with him. You can go there, but just understand, if you go there with Vrabes, he's going to go for your throat, and he's going to get after you until you call mercy. And that's why our personalities really fit well, because I'm kind of the same mentality where we just go back and forth at each other. But you got to love that, and he is a man's man, and you know that for a fact as well.
No doubt, no doubt. All right, so you mentioned this ascension of Drake Maye, and look, I went on record before, right after the draft last year, before the season, saying I thought Drake Maye was the best quarterback prospect in the draft. I said probably Jaden Daniels 2, and then Caleb Williams 3. Obviously, they've all had a lot of success, but Drake Maye is front runner for the MVP right now, or maybe just 2 behind Stafford. I feel like they flip flop every week on DraftKings when you're looking at it, but you mentioned Josh Daniels in how he's been able to elevate Drake Maye's game. Josh McDaniels has had an opportunity to be head coach twice, failed twice. I'm not looking for you to trash talk anyone on this podcast, but what have been the common denominators to have him not succeed? Because when you look at it from afar, you'd say, I got to get this man in my building to be the head guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's such an interesting dynamic because even you look at the coaching tree that has come out of Bill Belichick from Bill Belichick's coaching tree that have gone on. You haven't seen a lot of guys have success, maybe outside of Billy O'Brien in Houston, who went to the playoffs multiple years when he was there with the Texans. But you look at his first stop with the Denver Broncos, and when he went in there, I think they started out 6 or 7-0, and then it was just a steady skid, and then they struggled the next year, and then before you know it, there's a little scandal here or there, and he gets fired. And then the Raiders, that was one that was unexpected to me because they were still in the divisional race. There was a lot of moving parts there. Once again, another quarterback comes in, they get rid of Derek Carr, they bring in Jimmy Garoppolo, and so some of it, I think, was unsettled probably by upper level management and also the organization, because you think about what he did when he went to the Broncos. He drafted Tim Tebow, which stirred up a whole bunch of other stuff, right? And then he gets to the Raiders. Derek Carr moves on. They bring in Jimmy Garoppolo. And again, I didn't really understand the one with the Raiders, especially because of the commitment that ownership had at the time, saying, hey, look, we're going to give you time to develop this roster, to bring in your guys. And at the same time, it's not going to be a short-term deal. And ultimately, it was a fractured locker room. A lot of people had opinions, and organization moved swiftly and quickly. But I guess it worked out for the Patriots that he was available and he still had a home there in New England, and all of his kids were raised there. So it kind of was the perfect fit.
It's a perfect fit, great timing for them. But yeah, he's an offensive coordinator. I obviously have a ton of respect for, and I never played for him, never even really have spent time with him. So it's interesting to hear you give that feedback. All right, if you were starting a team right now, would you rather have Josh Allen or Drake May?
Oh gosh. I mean, now that I know the body of work that Josh Allen's capable of, I'm going with Josh Allen. Now, coming out of school, I'm going with Drake May, but at the
Right.
same time, there's nobody like Josh Allen. I mean, let's be honest, just from a pure size, athletic ability, can throw the ball, make any throw that you want, clutch plays, and then the dual threat capabilities that he has as a quarterback, they're unmatched just because of how he plays the position. So I would go with Josh Allen, knowing what I know now. But looking back, and if they're both coming out at the same time, I'm obviously going with Drake May. And I don't think that that's a bad choice either, because this is somebody, the jump that he made, which a lot of players make that jump from year one to year two, but the jump that he's made, the ascension that he's made as quickly as he has, is nothing less than incredible, to be honest with you, because you watch him, his pocket movement and presence, his ability to push the ball down the field, his completion percentage is up over in the 70s, but he's also not lacking. It's not like he's checking the ball down and just taking the
Right.
profit. He's ripping the ball down the field, accuracy, tough competitor, and he's also a guy that can get it done with his legs and can be dangerous there as well. So there's a lot to love about this kid, Drake May.
Yeah, last year after the Patriots Bills game, final game of the season, that's when all the coaches got let go in the locker room. I had gone out my flight was canceled going home. So I was going to stick around and hang out with Van Pelt and Kugler and some of the guys on staff there, Bicknell. So I'm getting ready to stick around and hang out with them in the parking lot because my flight's canceled. Well, then they all get fired in the locker room. So
That's
I got
wild. They were in the locker room and got fired. They couldn't wait just like one day later.
exactly. And
I
so,
mean, I never understood that part. Like,
right.
let's just finish the season. Let me go have a beer in the parking lot with my boys, and then call me tomorrow and let me go. But don't do it right after the game in the locker room. That's brutal.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
So, because of that, I got to hear some truth bombs come out that night. And, the fact of the matter is, Drake May was not surrounded by any talent last year. And that's just the truth. And so that stunted what the coaches could coach him to do, what he could do on the field, and all of that. But I'll say this, similar to Josh's rookie year, the highlights were there. Yes, there was low lights along the way, but the highlights were there. Okay, I can see the upside of this kid. I can see the competitiveness. I see the way the guys rally around him. Like, he's got something to him. Is he going to develop to be an MVP? Time will tell. There's a lot that goes into that, but I was impressed with the way he handled himself last year in a really tough situation with literally the worst offensive line in the league and the worst set of receivers in the league. Now they had good tight ends and a couple pretty good running backs, but beyond that, I mean,
I agree with you. I mean, he was put into an impossible situation last year. And you know, when you're drafted high in the NFL draft, that it's going to be a team that sucks probably more than likely. You're not just a few players away, you're a lot of players away, right?
right,
And last year was very evident of that as you talked about the skill on the outside. Now there were some pieces there, but you can't play the quarterback position unless you have an offensive line, and they've definitely gotten better. And the offensive line and the weapons on the outside, they added depth at the running back position with Travion Henderson. So he's surrounded by more pieces. Coaching definitely makes an impact. But like you said last year, the impressive part about him is he kept coming back for more. And you constantly would see like the wow play. Wow, I can't believe he just made that throw. He'd get the crap beat out of him, but he'd get up. Right.
right.
And that's the sign of leadership. And that's when I started to say, hey, they might have something here, because there were some throws that he made last year that there's not a lot of guys even in the league that can make those throws. And you said, ooh, if we can bottle that up and make that more consistent, we might have something here. And you're starting to see that blossom now.
Absolutely. Let's take a moment to hear from my good friend Dan from Dan O's Seasoning.
What's up, Eric Wood fans? Check this out. Eric told us his favorite 6 Danos because we wanted to do a bundle just for you guys. So we got the OG, the spicy, the primo, the red pepper seasoning, the crunchy, and the chipotle. All this for a special deal. Get 15% off. Use the code EWOOD right now on our website. Yum, yum, get you some.
All right, let's have some fun here. So, after the success that Tom Brady had in Tampa Bay, would you say that the main credit for the dynasty should go to Tom Brady?
You know, I love this discussion.
And this doesn't need to
As a
be, yeah,
Look, I mean, the fact is, I think both deserve credit. I say this all the time. I mean, he steered the ship through all the different stuff that team and organization went through. But early on in Tom's career, I mean, we were playing good defense, and he was definitely the catalyst behind all the Super Bowls and being the front man. But as he grew up and goes on, I always say this: at the end of the day, the players have to go out and execute. They have to be the ones that make the plays on the field. So I always do like that 75-25, both deserve credit. But at the end of the day, when the guys are out on the field, Tom Brady, the execution that he had, the way that he played for so long, I give him a majority of the credit. How can you not? Because you've seen greatness throughout this league, the history of this league at the quarterback position, but not to the level that Tom Brady achieved year in, year out, and the success that he had winning 7 Super Bowls.
yeah, absolutely. One of my
Is it
favorites to
7
ever do
Super
it.
Bowls or 6 Super Bowls?
I think it's 7, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, let's give him 8. Who gives a shit?
Right. He probably could have gotten another one. Hey, maybe he'll come back and play for the Colts. I guess you can't be a Fox analyst, a team owner, and a quarterback of another team. They're especially in the AFC as well. That I don't know if they'll let him do that, but I'm surprised. We'll
Yeah,
see.
they would have to offer him a lot of money, wouldn't they, to come back? But he still looks good. I mean, you see his Instagram now. He's an Instagram model. Just he loves to have his shirt off and just throwing balls in the park for some reason. I have no idea what his deal is now, but that's how I used to work out. Shirts off, baby. Sun's out, guns out. Let's just rip it around to random people. It'll be fun. People will watch. I promise.
And he's somewhere between Miami and a private island, and I guess California or Vegas. I don't know. There's different backdrops for all these shirtless throwing the football videos, but good on him. I mean, he earned
Yeah,
it.
I mean,
He earned,
he earned it. Live your life the way you want to live it, brother. If it's shirtless, go do your thing.
no doubt. All right, I've mentioned the Colts. I saw where maybe you said you could probably give him a snap or two. I mean, what's your
Yeah.
thoughts on this Phillip Rivers deal?
I said, "I'll dust off the old Cassel cannon." I mean, I'm still ripping it at my kids every day. I mean, my kids are now of age where they can catch, so I'm ripping it at my kids, and I saw they're bringing in Phillip. I was like, "Well, one, I've got less kids, so less responsibility. I don't have I don't have grandchildren, and I'm just a little bit younger." So I was like, "Dude, I'll give you a few games. I might get the hell beat out of me, but I'll run around and try to make some stuff happen." But yeah, good for Phillip, dude. I love it. I hope he goes out there and dominates the shit out of these next 4 games. I
I
don't think
agree.
he's gonna play this week.
Yeah. I mean, to me, no, there's no way they can stick him in there this week. Philip Rivers was always fascinating to me. Like, you never knew where to put him as far as like quarterback tiers. And I understand like there wasn't as much social media back then. So it wasn't like who's tier 1, tier 2, but all he did was win. and then he talked trash the entire game without cussing. And I'm like, how do you? I don't even understand how you have the I don't have the big enough vocabulary to talk trash on the field that much to be able to not cuss. But Philip was always fascinating to me on the field
He was one of my favorite players because he would talk that shit, and
the
it would
entire
be like,
time.
"Gummit," and all that stuff. His substitution of cuss words for words that were appropriate for kids to hear was the most incredible part of his ability to talk smack because guys wouldn't know how to respond to it, but he would just nag you and get after you. I mean, I used to play against him twice a year when I was with the Chiefs, and he was constantly talking shit. But at the end of the day, that dude is the ultimate competitor, and he was in the upper echelons of quarterbacking, his decision making, his accuracy too, dude, was unparalleled. I just love the way he played the game and his competitive spirit. So I always had the utmost respect for him being on the opposite sideline, watching him always compete.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He's a stud. All right. So you cover college football for NBC now. How do we fix college football with all that's going on right now? Like, give me two things that give me some hope as a college football fan that I'm going to start to enjoy, like the end of November and December again. And it's not all arguments, transfers, coaches leaving, and all that.
Yeah, it's the calendar and how it sets up. And when you're talking about coaches and coaches hiring, when these jobs come up in college football, there's not the restrictions that it is in the NFL where you can't hire somebody until their season's over. You can hire anybody at any point and you can interview anybody at any point. And at this point, with all the money in college sports, particularly college football, they can dangle a check in front of anybody and entice them like, hey, look, we're going to pay you $3 extra million to come to our school. Why don't you come to our school? And it just so happened, I think this year in particular, that there were multiple big name schools, blue blood
Yep.
programs that had openings that I don't think is going to come up year in and year out. Um, I think that they have to align the football calendar with the school calendar better. Also, from when the transfer portal opens up, when the recruiting takes place, and signing day shows up, because all of those things kind of intermix and create this hodgepodge because these coaches know if they're going to leave, they got to get ahead of the recruiting class.
Right.
They got to be able to go out in the portal and bring in guys to supplement their roster as it is now. So it is very complicated, but until somebody steps up and fix that aspect of it to where you can go, can poach somebody during a season, it's going to be tough sledding because that's just the rules in place. And then if you're talking about the CFP, that's a whole different thing. It's always going to be subjective. When it was 4 teams, it was everybody was complaining and arguing over that 4th spot, right? Now we've got 12 teams. Everybody's arguing about the 11th spot, the 10th spot, the 11th spot, the 12th spot. A lot of that has to do with the group of 5 and people saying, well, they don't belong, SMU, JMU. And I would have to say, if I'm being true to myself and you're being realistic about the playoff picture, I think it should be the best 12 teams, period.
Yep.
Now, there's always going to be subjectivity because there's humans that are picking the CFP. It's not a computer based program where it's science based and we're going to say this is matter of fact on this. It's always going to have that human element, and that's going to piss some people off.
Yeah, and I'm glad they went to 12. It gives, as a Louisville grad, that gives me some hope. For a while we were in it. We blew a couple games down the stretch, but to your point, Louisville had a not so great day against JMU and beat them by 14, 21 points. And Louisville's not even in the top 25 right now. So who are we kidding putting them in? Feel good story. You give them some chance of hope. You give all the group of 5 schools something to play for, but this isn't the business of making everybody happy. So I'll just leave it at that. Let's take a moment to hear from one of our podcast partners, and that's Waterboy. These are my favorite electrolyte hydration packets on the market. These are the workout ones for those watching on YouTube that I got in my hand right now. I use 1 to 2 of these a day. I also love their daily hydration and then their weekend recovery as well. Those are great after long Bills weekends. That's for sure. Go check them out at waterboy.com. And when you make a purchase right now, you can get a free trial pack to try some of the other flavors. This lemon lime one and the blue raspberry is about as good as it gets. Go check out our friends at Waterboy. There's still a chance they get in, but do you think the Chiefs are toast at this point after that loss to Houston on Sunday night?
I mean, I've been saying it for 3 weeks, like, look, this team still has a chance. They just have to win this week. They just have to win this week, and it unfortunately for them, they're in such of a hole right now that there's still potential, right? But you've got Houston playing really well, and then you look over the Chargers winning the other night was a huge victory for them, and, it would be hard to believe that some of these teams with who they have left on their schedule are going to slide so much to give them an opportunity. The only thing that they can do is go out and win these next 4 games and put them in a position to make it tough. So if somebody does falter or skid down that stretch, then maybe they get in the wild card. Look, they're a good football team, and we know the strength of schedule is one of the toughest in the league. And week in and week out, they're going to get the best shot because they've been of top of that division for what, the last 9 years. And
Right.
so it just so happens that it's one of these years that, unlike last year, where they won what, 11 football games, 3 points or less, they haven't been able to win those games this year. And some of it you could point to, look, there's some injuries early on in the year at the wide receiver position. Now they're dealing with injuries on the offensive line, and you can point to injuries, but at this point in the year, everybody's dealing with injuries, right?
Yep.
You're trying to navigate that space and who's the next man up, and you've just got to find a way to win. And they just unfortunately haven't been able to. But I think it's a tough road ahead for them to get into playoffs this year.
Yeah, I agree. And there's still a shot. So everybody else is still uneasy about the potential of them getting in, but I think they're toast as well. All right, we're going to get to the rapid fire questions brought to you by Dano's Seasoning. We mentioned the
And no
CFP.
seasoning, baby. Love that seasoning.
Oh yeah, my man. All right, so we mentioned the CFP. First off, and you'll see why I'm bringing him up. But how do you like working with my man Jordan Cornette? He's one of my favorite people in sports.
Dude, his personality is infectious. He's so engaging. And Mike Robb, who I work with as well, Mike Robb always goes, he speaks so many different languages. And I'm not talking about that he's bilingual by any means. I
No,
mean,
I got
he
you.
he can relate to any person you pick out on a street. He could go up and strike up a conversation, make them feel comfortable, and then they will give you any information you want. He's just one of those special type of personalities, and he's so much fun. He laughs at himself. Now, he will get a little edgy on the road sometimes when we get after him, but that's the only complaint I have about him.
So, do you feel like his Notre Dame Fighting Irish should have been in the CFP?
No, based on the criteria and what the CFP said all along is that they were going to value head-to-head competition. And at the end of the day, they had to value that head-to-head competition or make them look like absolute fools and dishonest, and I think that they made the right decision based on the criteria that they set forth. Now, do I believe that Notre Dame, if they were in the 12-person playoff, that they would have an opportunity to win a national championship with the team that they have? Unequivocally, yes. I think that they have gotten better throughout the year. I'm impressed with CJ Carr. They can run the football. Their defense early on struggled a little bit, but there was a change at the defensive coordinator position, and they just got better and better and better. And so they were a complete team in many regards. And it's upsetting to me that we won't get them. We won't get an opportunity to see them compete against some of the best. But at the end of the day, when you lose 2 games by 4 points early in the season, I guess that's your death sentence in today's world of college football.
Yeah, it stinks, but that's really well said. All right, so in the Matt Cassel crystal ball, you look out into the future. Does Shedeur Sanders get a second contract in Cleveland as a franchise quarterback?
That is a beautiful, beautiful question right now. I think it's way too early to say.
No, this is the
I
Matt.
do
This is the
believe
Matt Cassel crystal ball.
You know what? Let's crystal ball it. Let's give him a second contract. He goes out there, starts dominating. He gets a new Rolex watch. He's flashing it on people, and he becomes that dude. He's version number 2, prime time version number 2 at the quarterback position. And I think he's a fascinating study, to be honest with you,
Beyond.
because when you watch him on the field, I mean, he makes some plays out there. He's got great pocket presence. He's tough, and going in at that juncture in the season, he hadn't gotten a snap of first
Right.
team reps, right? And then to go out and to be able to operate and it not look like complete chaos, then I had a lot of respect for him in that regard, meaning like he was able to absorb the information. He was able to learn with the mental reps, which is always really hard to do. And he's made some plays in these games that you're like, man, they might have something, especially because, again, they're talent depleted on that offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I like that. I like that
Let's
crystal
give
ball
him,
stuff.
yeah,
So.
let's give him a second contract, dude. Why not? Let's give it now.
All right. Some of my favorite stories were when you would tell me about you and Tom Brady's pranks on each other back and forth. Give me maybe your top two pranks that you guys pulled on each other.
Well, I mean, it really started, and I think I've told you this before. It literally started with I would come into the quarterback room, and we had a small quarterback room, and I would throw the door open with a tray of food to eat real quick before we got the meeting going. Well, he would sit by the door, and I would swing it open, and he'd be like, "Dude, you're gonna hit me with the door. You're gonna." Do. I was like, "Come on, dude, save it. I'm not gonna hit you with the door." So he puts his foot up against the door. He knew I was coming in with a big ass tray. He had just seen me. And I mean, my food goes everywhere. And I'm more pissed off because I'm hangry than I am anything else. So I just decide off a whim, which was probably a stupid decision, that he'd always wear these brand new Air Force Ones, all white. So I took those old school 40 grams of protein Gatorade shake and filled up both of his shoes. And this is after practice, right? So he's already probably pissed. And then I put that atomic bomb. Okay, if anybody knows about like Flexerol or whatever that you put on, you rub on an Achnus, atomic bomb will light you up like you've never been lit up before. So I rubbed that all over his underwear. Like, I didn't care if he had worn them that day, but I put it on the inside and then I folded it back up because he'd always fold his clothes in the
I can see that.
locker because he was meticulous, right? Most guys just throw it in there. No, he's gonna fold his clothes, make sure it's all put together nice and neat. So then as I'm walking out, he finally realizes what I did, and he runs out and he's got these two massive shakes, and I don't even know where he got. And he throws it on me, so I dump a trash can on his car, and he had a nice car. I had a piece. I don't even know what I was driving at the time. Well, the next day I show up, and he he starts saying, "Dude, you better say I'm sorry and call me Daddy Longshanks or something like that." And I was like, "Daddy Longshanks? I'm not calling you anything." He's like, "Dude, you got until practice, beginning of practice." So I go into practice and I'm hard headed. I'm no way. I'm not going to do anything. Da, da, da. You do anything to me, I'm going to shit in your helmet type deal. And I come in from practice, and the next thing I know, he's got 3 of my tires sitting in front of my locker. He hid the final one. He made me get a ride to work for the next week and a half. And I was like, "Bro, okay, Daddy Longshanks or whatever you want me to call you. You won. You got me." Like, the funny part was actually, Light and all those guys. Light's the ultimate prankster. The next day, we're going up for a walkthrough, and we used to go when it was really cold up into the third floor of Gillette Stadium, and they're looking down like, "Oh, Cassel, you got him good." They filled his entire car up with those foam peanuts to the brim, and they tried to blame it on me. And Brady looks at me. I'm telling you, he goes, "Dude, I am gonna kill you." I was like, "Bro, that wasn't even me." And Light and Copen and all Steve Neal, all these guys, Logan, they're like, "Cassel, yeah, dude, I love that you got him back. Screw that guy." And I was like, "Dude, this is not gonna end well."
That's I love those stories. The one with the packing peanuts and then them setting you up like that is absolutely freaking hysterical. That
Oh,
is
well,
so good.
he had somebody take the packing peanuts out, but little did he know, they also put in his air conditioning unit a bunch of glitter. So
Oh,
when he turns on when he turned on the thing, it shot out and there was glitter everywhere.
that is
Oh,
hilarious. That's good.
so
That's
brutal.
good, clean fun there. Good, clean fun. All
Good,
right.
clean fun.
All right. Last one. Bills Patriots this weekend. Who you got?
Man, this is such a tough one to call for me, just because I know what the record says, 11-2. Patriots are playing really good. They're coming off a bye, but then you've got Josh Allen factor that always makes me weary to pick against him. And I know that they're going on the road. The run game's going to have to show up. I think this game, honestly, I'm not even answering your question right now. This game's going to come on down to turnovers like it did in the first game. Obviously, when you look at the Bills, they had 3, Patriots had 1. The run game's going to be incredibly important in this game. Um, and at the end of the day, I'm going to take Patriots at home. Look, I know you're taking
It's
the
okay.
Bills, so I might as well go with the Patriots, make it interesting.
No doubt. I like that. I like that. And it never does me any good to pick against the Bills. It's before the
Yeah,
game. Like,
exactly. Like, I know you're going with there's no doubt you're going with the Bills. So I figured I'd make it more interesting going with the young Drake May, potential MVP candidate. Can he knock off the dragon at the top, baby? You guys have been 5 years straight in a conference title. I mean, so or division title. So at the end of the day, this is going to be a game that could ultimately decide it.
oh yeah. And this is a hat and t-shirt game for New England if they win it. I mean, you want to talk about a troll job. You get that hat and t-shirt beating the Bills, 5-time AFC East champions in a row. That would be a special locker room celebrations. I'm sure both teams' social media teams would have some. They're gonna have fun with it either way. But
Either
uh,
way, we're gonna hear everything on social media. Don't worry. It'll be the pregame speech, probably the prayer, the walkout, everything that goes along with it, and then the postgame stuff. Some of those videos that they show on social media of the postgame, there's nothing better than that.
oh yeah, oh yeah, that's good. That's good peek into the locker room, and then I'm glad they cut it off at a certain point because at some point it's guys goofing around and all that. But regardless, Cass, man, I can't thank you enough for your time, brother. You were excellent. You're doing an awesome job in the media. You're kind of like Fitzpatrick to me, to where like playing with both of you guys, I knew that if you would like open up the shell a little bit, people would be like, "Oh, that dude's really good in media." And I'm glad you both did because you guys are both killing it.
Yeah, that's sometimes the hardest thing is they tell you all these mechanics, right? They're like, you've got to act this way and do this. And at the end of the day, if you're just yourself and have a little fun out there, because we're actually covering something that we love to do,
Right.
that's when the dynamics change. The light starts to come on. You're like, oh, this is awesome. Be yourself. All right, let's go.
Right. No doubt. Well, thanks again, brother. I love you. Good luck, man.
Love you too, man. You're the best.